Oh. There it is now. I'm going to go ahead and call the Butler Community College Board of Trustees regular meeting to order here December 14th at 4:30 in the Dankert Trustee Boardroom. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If there's any changes at all to the agenda, if not, it would.
I move that the consent agenda item 11A, approval of minutes, be moved to section 10, board action items.
Say that again, Shelby. I'm sorry.
It's a consent agenda item 11A, approval of last month's minutes, be moved to section 10, board action items. They're just a typo. So January 7th, December twice. Spot.
Is that something that can just be corrected?
Yeah, we can correct it.
We need a
Easily.
motion to correct it.
If you'll point it out, tell me what page it's on and we'll correct it.
Sure. It's talking about the guys retiring tonight.
So-
It'll be a-
What page in here? Or if you want to look for it a little bit, let me know.
Make those corrections.
Yes. Yeah.
We just noted before we approve
Yeah.
it.
Very good.
You withdraw your motion.
So I move that we adopt the agenda as.
Well, I want
With
Oh, my bad.
corrections.
Yeah.
That's simple.
to, yeah, I would like to move to amend the agenda to add a discussion item would be, I guess, Roman numeral 9A regarding a discussion on board governance issues.
Is there a second? Any discussion at all?
What would that entail?
Some follow-up from a phone call that we had last week with Tom Bordenkircher.
Any other discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and vote on the amendment to the agenda to add some board governance conversation to the discussion
So do I need to make it a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
as amended.
Well,
For a second.
Or we
No, we have to approve
approve the
first.
amendment. Yep, sorry.
Oh, my bad.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes,
Trustee Leichenberg,
Yes,
trustee
Yeah.
Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
Yes.
the amendment passes, and so would entertain a motion to approve the
is now.
agenda as amended.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Not, we'll go ahead.
Trustee Good,
Aye.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
yes,
Trustee Leichenberg,
Yes,
trustee Winslow. Yes. Trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
Yes.
we've approved the agenda as amended. And so the first item on the agenda is the executive session. So the motion for exec session is on page 3, if somebody would so.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss employer-employee negotiations to include members of the board, President Kroll, Ray Cannell, Bill Rinkenbaugh, Dr. Sperry, Shelley Stoltz, and Kent Williams, and to consult with our attorney for advice regarding contracts to include members of the board, Ray Cannell, President Kroll, Kent Williams, and John Rupp, and to discuss non-elected personnel matters to include members of the board, Ray Cannell, President Kroll, and Shelley Stoltz pursuant to the open meetings exceptions for matters protected by attorney-client privilege, employer-employee negotiations, and non-elected personnel. And the open meeting will resume here in the Dankert Trustee Boardroom in 60 minutes.
Is there a second?
second,
Moved and seconded to move into executive session. Preliminary for trustee Good's motion.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
yes,
trustee Leichenberg,
Yes,
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
Yes.
We will move into executive session. And once we're there, we'll start the 60 minutes.
You're welcome.
From us, from my office, every year for the employee luncheon and for the employees, we get some sort of a Christmas gift. And this was our gift to all the employees this year.
Thank you.
So
Hi,
add
Jimmy.
that- Add that to your report.
How are you? Good.
Oh.
Did it have a point on it? He's lucky he didn't shoot his sibling. Oh, okay.
Shot his sibling.
Well, maybe you want this TV.
Okay, so we need to
We back
have to have motions again.
on. Okay,
I
go
so-
ahead. We need a motion to go back into
I
exec
so move we
session.
go back into executive session for an extra 45 minutes. Is that enough?
I'll second.
Do we need that much?
Oh, my gosh.
At least
The
probably.
way you talk.
So is there, we don't need to discuss it. Go ahead. Call the roll to move back
Trustee
in for
Good?
Yes.
45 minutes.
Trustee Law,
Yeah.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
We'll go back into executive session for 45 minutes at 5.
Do you have another meeting in front of this, or you just decide to go home and have dinner?
I think this is her last year. So she was going on a date.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I would have gone home and had dinner at her lowest. I've been sitting downstairs hanging out.
I will say that Nolan and I became BFFs after 2 days. But,
Hi,
you know,
Linda. Thank you. Thank you. I brought treats, so,
Oh, you brought birthday treats?
you know.
You should have. Is today your birthday too? Oh, tomorrow. Lots of birthdays. Lots of birthdays hanging around.
It's terrible to have birthday around Christmas.
Oh.
You know,
Doug, yeah,
like
it's like,
my daughter-in-law gets her
Waiting on
birthday
Doug,
presents with the Christmas presents. But I do try to wrap it separately in birthday paper. Oh, yeah.
no, I have her. I have her. I know it. She loves it a bunch.
I think we might, Doug will be coming, but we might go ahead and start with recognitions.
Okay.
Just to keep the
Okay,
ball rolling.
I'm gonna sit here so I can be by the microphone. We have a nice list of recognitions tonight. And the first one is to recognize folks that were involved with Disability Mentoring Day. Alitra Cheney Prophet, Derek Faust, Matt Galbraith, Steve Jackson, Mark J., Sedina Rardon, Naomi Thompson, and Mel Whiteside. And I don't see any of them here. Is Mel here? Any of them right at the moment. Anyway, on November 18th, Butler was the host site for Disability Mentoring Day for 31 Butler County high school students with a range of disabilities. We've been the host for this event since 2008. Typically, the students start the day with breakfast at Butler and a guest speaker, then travel to various businesses for interactive job shadowing. However, this year with the COVID restrictions, they didn't travel to the businesses. And instead, what Butler did was step in to the void and provide some opportunity and information for the students to learn about welding, auto tech, and agriculture. The high school students viewed the welding and auto tech shops and watched Butler students in action. Butler Admissions provided campus tours to the freshmen and sophomores, and Career Services gave a dynamic workshop on job readiness. And most importantly, each Butler employee emphasized ability over disability, recognizing there's a place for everyone in our society. So I want to take a moment and thank all of those folks that were key. The other person that's not actually listed on this list is Teresa Eastman. She must have submitted the names and then she didn't include herself. But Teresa was a big part of organizing this and helping it all come together. So we want to say thanks to the folks that were involved. I also want to recognize some key people that are actively involved and have been year after year with the Kansas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers. Megan Chambers, Monica Zavala, and Michelle Ponce. The Kansas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers, better known as CACRO, contributes to the advancement of higher education in Kansas and nationally through professional development of its members. These 3 Butler members have given their time and support to help advance the profession while promoting high standards of professional ethics. And they've done this year over year, lots of them. And so Megan's here today, and I don't see anybody else, but Megan, thank you for your hard work. Let's see. Megan, let me look at this. Megan serves as the president-elect and the program committee chair. Monica serves as the secretary, and Michelle serves as the historian and constitution coordinator, correct? Thank you. Thank you. You know, folks like this are involved and actively engaged at the state level. You know, they derive some real benefit from that, but they bring that benefit back to the college as well to help the folks that they work alongside. And it, you know, promotes Butler as a leader in lots of different areas. So Megan, thanks for that. How long have you been serving in one of these leadership roles? This is like the third or fourth year I think I've seen your name come across, right?
Yes, so this is my fourth year, and I'm actually, so I was president-elect last year, and I'm currently in my president.
That's what I thought. Yeah, good job. Thank you. Also want to recognize accounts receivable for their community service program and enrollment management volunteers. Accounts receivable, I think each month, is Jessica here? Doesn't accounts receivable each month contributes some hours to a community service project, right?
Yes, they try.
And they do it as a team. And so they began this in the spring of 2017 and have served 5 organizations in Butler County each year. Many of the organizations ask them to come back before accounts receivable can even reach out to them. And so the group provides an invaluable service to the various organizations by completing projects that those organizations either don't have the time or the capacity or the people to finish. It's a great team building experience for the Butler, El Dorado, and Andover staff members. And in recent years, every single Salvation Army bell ringing door in Butler County has at some point been covered by Butler Community College employees. So organizations serve the Salvation Army, Butler Homeless Initiative, Family Life Center Safe House, the Sunshine Children's Home, American Cancer Society Relay Recess in the Andover School District. And so this certificate is actually presented to Donnie Mercer, but for Donnie and his entire team. And so we're pleased and appreciative again of the work that they do within the community. So let's tell them thank you. Another special award that we have tonight is I gotta get the letter out here so I do it just exactly the right way. It's got a little bit different name than what we put in the board book. This is the Aviso Aspire Award Achievement winner that's presented to Butler Community College in recognition of achievements in building equity and equity mindedness on campus and within the communities that our college serves. This is for 2021 from Aviso. And I want to read the letter that goes along with this because it speaks to the work that the college has done, and then specifically want to recognize Dr. Troy Nordman and Dr. Phil Spheri because they have spearheaded this effort for us. This is from Alexander Leader, who's the founder and CEO of Aviso Retention. And it says, congratulations on Butler Community College being selected for the 2021 Aviso Aspire Equity and Impact Special Achievement Award. The Aviso Aspire Award is presented to institutions that have strived to achieve equity and equity mindedness on their campuses and within the communities they serve. With this award, Aviso Retention recognizes and celebrates Butler Community College's emphasis on the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as the significant impact you have made within your community. As you know, Butler Community College has been a partner with Aviso Retention since 2019. And has used Aviso to effectively track and manage student engagement, as well as to develop and deliver personalized, targeted, and proactive student messaging. Butler Community College has helped impact thousands of students through the use of Aviso, especially in the past year amidst the pandemic. We also want to highlight Butler Community College for its impact on student success by investing in and implementing the +1 initiative. A 100% increase in the number of faculty responding to alerts is quite an accomplishment and commitment. We at Aviso are so impressed with Butler's accomplishment in having a 100% response rate to over 700 COVID-related alerts, as well as a 98% response rate to all staff-initiated alerts and the impact this has had on student success. We thank you for your partnership and look forward to working together to improve the lives of students for generations to come. This Aviso was so impactful during the pandemic because it gave an opportunity for the teams that surround these students to understand if they were struggling in class, if there were COVID alerts that had to go out and they needed assistance. The faculty and the staff closed, like it says, more than 700 COVID-related alerts. And so it's just a measure of the support that our folks do, but it's a tool that allows really quick access to students and how well they're doing, whether they're attending, what their grades are, All of those kinds of things that allow the folks, faculty and staff that surround them to understand how they're doing and to keep them in college and to keep them moving forward. And so Troy and Phil, really from the very beginning of the implementation of VISO, have been the leaders on campus and really the driving force behind making it all work, right? Talked about you. I know, but it's going to get more visibility in the 600 building or someplace like that. So I'll give it to you guys for now. And
Yeah,
then
we
we'll talk
want
about.
we want to say it's really the faculty and the advisors that are the supports. A great effort on terms of great breadth and influence in the school.
You want a copy of that letter too? Did you get a copy of the letter? No. Okay, that's me too.
Very nice.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Very
thank you.
Remind me, how many other institutions in Kansas use a VISO? Nobody, right? Yeah, right. So again, a leader. And then Mary Martha's birthday is today. Happy birthday,
Thank
Mary
you
Martha.
very
Good.
much.
Happy birthday, happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
And Matt Jacobs' birthday is tomorrow, we understand. So,
Yeah.
technology whiz. All right, that's
Thank-
all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kroll. Is there any public comment?
We didn't receive any.
Okay.
By email or by phone. So.
Okay, so no public
Assuming-
comment. We will move on to the Student Government Association report. Do you want to do We
another
might.
one while we're?
Lisa, do you want to go ahead while we're seeing if we can get her on?
Yeah, she's gonna log in, so.
Okay.
Give her some information.
Put on.
No, now it is. Perfect. Okay. Good evening. We concluded our Thanksgiving pie sale fundraiser with 32 delectable desserts sold. This year, we had several volunteer bakers assist us in baking apple, cherry, pecan, and pumpkin pies, as well as pumpkin rolls. A huge thank you goes out to all of those who supported us with monetary and ingredient donations, and to those who purchased pies and pumpkin rolls. We appreciate your support. All of the proceeds from our fundraising efforts go toward the Book Scholarship Fund, cost of the Welcome Back tables, hosting families in need at Christmas, and other charitable giving opportunities. Our next operational staff meeting is this Thursday, December 16th, here on the El Dorado campus. I hope you all have a happy holidays, and I will see you next year.
Thank you,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Okay. Guadalupe, you are ready to go. I think you're muted right now, but we're ready for you when you are.
All right. So I'm reporting for SGA November and December events. November 13th, SGA participated in Grizzly Senior Day. On December 9th, SGA hosted a holiday party where students can paint ornament and cookie decorate. And there's also Jackbox games that the students can log into. There's popcorn and hot chocolate being served. Next, SGA has also sponsored the e-gaming club to fund tournaments, which were highly successful with Wichita, Andover, and El Dorado students. For the end of the semester, SGA has set up a donation drive where we put bins in all dorms, and students can leave anything they want, and they can pick up anything that's in the bin. It's more like what you need, you can take, and when you don't need, you can leave. SGA has also created food bags that were in the 1500 building for finals week, and there's also food bags being created for students who aren't in the dorm during winter break. And lastly, our next SGA retreat will be on January 13th. That is it.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sater, is he here? Is he zooming or anything? No? Okay. Finance Committee. Doug or
I did not make. it.
was anybody?
We got an update of the draft audit. As information was shared to those of us that were present. Don't know what to say about that other than that.
I might just say a couple of things. The audit is a clean opinion. There were no management findings. Kudos to those who were involved in per fund accounting and financial aid. That was all me. We'll be distributing those audit reports to the trustees hopefully within the next 4 weeks. And obviously then at the next work session, we'll kind of review where we're at.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Kent. Thank you, Doug, as well. Foundation report for us, anything?
Tom, anything other than I guess the groundbreaking for the culinary building was, for those that were there, that was really neat. Do you have anything, Tom?
Just a brief addition, since we met right after the last board meeting of this board. Chief Nelson Mosley tendered his resignation. He took on a new position in Lawrence, Kansas at the University of Kansas as their chief of police. So we have a vacancy on our board. And other than that, it's all been culinary.
Thank you, Tom. KACCT.
I can go ahead and do the update. Mary Martha still
Thank
didn't
you,
feel
since I
very
was
good.
ill.
Yeah,
Mm.
feel very good. So Friday afternoon, when the trustees all met, Regent John Rolfe attended and spoke to us for about 45 minutes or an hour and just talked about KBOR, his position on KBOR. He's the vice chair this year. Talked about the mission of higher ed in Kansas and KBOR's support for higher ed. We asked him some questions about transfer and articulation and relationships within the system, the 2-year and 4-year institutions, talked a little bit about service areas. Sue Gibbons then also that afternoon, who's the retired El Dorado superintendent, did a really good training for trustees that were there. She's doing board training for the Kansas Association of School Boards and for community colleges right now. And what she did for us Friday afternoon was a discussion on roles and governance, legal issues, trust and communication, conflict resolution, and the 8 characteristics of an effective board. We had dinner then that evening and visited. Saturday morning then was the regular KACCT meeting, approving the minutes, the treasurer's report, the elected officers. Nancy Ingram from Johnson County will be the president. Vice president is Arlen Leiker from Colby. Secretary Dennis Peters from Neosho, and treasurer is David Marshall from Hutch. And then past president is Michelle Ham from Pratt. There was a report out about some ACCT activities and encouragement for trustees to access the ACCT website and use those resources. Also talked about a best practice that KACCT is recommending we all implement beginning in January. And that is, it's a practice that Neosho has done for a number of years, but it's an affirmation of the ACCT Code of Ethics and having board members read it and then sign it and frame it and put it on our boardroom wall. And so they adopted that as a KACCT recommended best practice. We usually read and affirm that, but it's just taking it, another step. So we'll do that in January. Georgia Masterson then also did a presentation and workshop on people in poverty to really help us understand our students, our community college students, because across the nation, at least 27% of community college students live below a poverty level of $12,880 a year. And so she gave us some really good insight into how students that are living in poverty make decisions and what their challenges are. So that was really a good, it's based on Bridges Out of Poverty and Ruby Payne's, Dr. Ruby Payne's work. There was discussion about the Promise Scholarship. We will be awarding $1.9 million in Kansas Promise Scholarship to students. Representative Steve Johnson joined us and talked about capers and some of the legislative issues that are coming up. Then Dan Murray, who's with Divine Donnelly and Murray, and who's the lobbyist for KACCT, talked a little bit about some of the federal level information, Biden's free college plan, and then some things that will be evident in the legislature this spring with discussions about additional funding, maybe for technical education, workforce system money. And there'll be lots of discussions, of course, about CRT and federal mandates as they relate to COVID. So good day and a half worth of meetings.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kroll. President's report.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't have any Cora requests this past month, at least that Heather noted. Employee luncheon, holiday employee luncheon was last Thursday. Yes, last Thursday. My days run together. We weren't able to have it last year, and so this year it was fun to be able to get people together. Great Western fed probably about 350 employees through buffet. We gathered in the Clifford Stone room and really enjoyed the time together. And it was fun to have people gathering and just sitting and visiting. And some people took food back to their colleagues on the Andover campus or in offices here that couldn't come over and get away to the Clifford Stone room. But we had all of the holiday great fare that Great Western always puts out. And the license plates covers or borders that you have were the gift that my office gave to the college employees this year. The foundation party, a holiday party last Monday night was fun, and it was fun to have people there to visit. So that was a successful party. And then I had Saturday night in my home a follow-up. Well, I guess it was the culinary buy-in party from the auction in March of 2020. We weren't able to do that in December of 2020. So that group of folks gathered in my home Saturday night, and our culinary students did an outstanding job of preparing and serving and talking about an 8-course meal that we got to enjoy. So
It looked delicious.
yeah, it was really a lot of fun, and we had a good time. And so the students did an outstanding job, really outstanding. College is closed beginning December 22nd, back on the 3rd of January. Most of us will be checking emails in and around all the holidays and I'll be around the whole holiday. And then the only other thing I had on my list was the groundbreaking, but I've already talked about that. So I'd answer questions if you've got them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kroll. Education Facilities Authority, Doug or Jim, anything going on there?
The other side.
No, he does not. I'm very much against that.
Just haven't had issues to address
Thanks, Jim.
at some point in time. Probably.
I would be very adamant against that.
So there's no monitoring reports. The only discussion item was Forrest's amendment to the agenda, which was the HLC board governance stuff. And to put a little background behind that, I'll kind of make some comments, and then Forrest, if you want to fill in any gaps, and then anybody has questions for us. But that was a call that Dr. Kroll, Phil, Forrest, and I were on just to kind of visit a little bit about where things stand with HLC. I know that that's been some concern over the course of the last couple of years. And I guess from a standpoint of what I took from that call is the necessity to really be more disciplined about how we request information in terms of within the policies and guidelines of HLC and some of those things. Some of the, and I know these are going to be hot button topics, but they're ones that he felt like we needed to address. The public comments and offering your own personal information, some of those things are, from his perspective, direct violation to their policies and procedures. The kind of going around the administration's office to gather information. The example a month ago, specific to to Kim and Kent on the BKD stuff is just, it's outside of their standards of doing business. Some of the disregard for legal advice when Ray has advised us and just the public disregard for that. And so some of those things need to be corrected. He made a comment during the call that essentially at this point, he's looking at it more from a regulatory standpoint than from a guidance or discipline standpoint. And so I think as we move forward and as the new board comes on, that the existing board members and the new ones be aware that needs to be addressed as we move forward. I would encourage whoever is the new chair to have a phone call with Tom fairly quickly, just so you can be informed of their concerns and so forth. So, Forrest, I don't know if I'll let you fill in
I
any
think-
blanks, or Phil, you may even offer some thoughts if you feel like they're warranted.
I think that we have policies that the board is expected to operate within. And he expressed significant concern with lots of examples where board members are not operating within those policies. And just because you don't like or agree with the policy, or you didn't support it when it passed, once it did pass, it is now what the board says we should be doing. And when we deviate from that, we are exposing ourselves to problems.
I think the one other comment that he made is when that happens is that it needs to be brought to the public's attention in the meetings and so forth. So again, whoever takes on my role as the new chair, I think needs to have some conversation with him. And Dr. Kroll, you had talked about partly because of the turnover in the board, but as we go into the new year, having some training and some of that as well, that will certainly help get new board members up to speed and so forth.
Yeah, that was certainly one of Tom's recommendations, is that we need some significant focus on board training and right away. And it'll have to be, continual probably for a while. Bill was in on that call. He expressed significant concern about how we're doing things. And
Yeah, I would just say, the comprehensive evaluation of the college is a year from April. When a team of 5 to 7 people come from other peer institutions to evaluate the school, I anticipate that they'll ask me to provide them with possibly all board minutes for the past 4 or 5 years. And also, they have every right to look at every video recording of board procedures. So it really won't be anything that I or whoever is writing a section about the board, which that's a whole section of the report. They'll want to see hard evidence of board behavior. So it needs to address their expectations. And these expectations are 19 states in the United States. It's not, it's 1,100 schools. It's not, we're not unique in any way in terms of the expectations that everybody shares. So just think the board needs to be aware of that it's not possible to spin much of anything in a accreditation evaluation because they're looking at hard evidence. They're not looking at hard description.
And they're interviewing, my experience is they come in and interview people.
Yeah.
They interview faculty and staff and students and especially if there are areas where there are concerns, they will know those ahead of time coming in and really work to look into them and try and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, they'll spend probably a 90-minute session with the board.
I think it's just important for us as a board to realize that this is a board issue, not an administration issue or a faculty issue. It's this aspect of their concern is our issue to resolve, and the new board members to resolve. So.
And I will, Tom did indicate that he's not the person that can come in from HLC perspective, because their role now is regulatory. And they'll be watching and paying attention. He said you need to bring in somebody other than HLC to do your training, because they have to watch from the outside now and see if we're following their expectations to meet the criterion that are part of our accreditation. I mean, serious implications if we don't meet the criterion, or if we end up on, with sanctions, those kinds of things. There are really serious implications that go along with that for us from a college perspective. Huge impact. So I will be organizing very early in the tenure of our new board members. Besides board orientation, I'll be seeking some help to come in really kind of right away. The end of January, first part of February, and set up a schedule for the spring, and we'll start to work on things at the direction of next board chair.
Any other questions or comments as it regards to that? We just felt like it was important to bring that to the board's attention. If not, we'll move on to the action items. And the first action item is a motion to approve the sale of the 9100 building property to Heritage Landing LLC.
As they were the high bidder in the sealed bid process, I would make that motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the sale of the 9100 property to Heritage Landing LLC. Is there any discussion or questions before we? If not, go ahead and call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Luckenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
Yes.
The motion to approve the sale passes. And the next item of business is the approval of the Pastry Arts degree and certification program. So I would entertain a motion to approve that as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Pastry Arts degree and certification program as presented. I know there's some discussion and some questions anyway, so we'll open it up to discussion.
I had a couple of questions on just looking through it on page 17. Mr. Redler states that his wife also served on the board of trustees. Is that possibly just a typo?
It's foundation board.
Foundation board.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that was
Yep.
corrected as we approve it.
I don't think we can correct somebody else's letter, but
We can ask,
somebody
we
will
can ask
ask him to
Scott.
retype
Note.
it maybe.
Make a note.
We can ask Scott to
And on-
resend it.
On page 13, it was mentioning the facilities, and at the very bottom, like 4 lines up, it says the culinary arts facility is funded through a combination of private donations and general fund reserves. I don't
What
know,
page, Shelby?
Sorry, page
13.
13. But I don't think that we as a board have approved general funds to pay for the culinary building.
It's probably a template that needs to be
I think it's
fixed.
the program itself, the program would involve faculty, supplies, and equipment that goes in there. So the program is funded through.
What this specific says, the Butler Arts facility is funded through a combination of.
Wouldn't that be rent? I mean, we pay rent for our facility through
Yeah,
general
Through-
operating.
through just the general budget. The culinary
Probably
arts
shouldn't
budget.
say reserve, just to the general fund.
That may just be a poor use of words again. But
I don't know, I was making sure we're leasing a building, we're not paying for it out of our general fund and then leasing it.
when we paid, like we did with Boston Rec, that lease amount is
Right, right.
budgeted
Once we
within the
start
culinary.
leasing it, I was just making sure
Yeah.
the facility is funded. I assume that meant it's being built by.
I think, Mel, I think the facility costs, that general statement was just to identify that the culinary budget, the departmental budget is what's being used here to support the cost, right? Yeah.
You're just saying that means that our funding is just covers the lease, not the construction. Not the problem. I mean, it's currently being built, the facility is funded.
By the foundation right now. right,
Built
donations.
through the
But there is a cost to run the program.
Right, right.
That's
For the
what,
lease, and that's just what
Yeah.
I'm asking for.
yes.
Only other question. Oh, the other thing on page 29. Says the equipment required for the program at $130,000. And I know it's got Carl Perkins and general operating funds, but I would just like some verbiage to say equipment required, pending board approval. Once we know what the estimates are, how much money is coming from. So we're talking about a pastry program and 15 kids, not kids, 15 students. Seems like a lot of equipment for.
Is the equipment required for this program different from the equipment they're going to have in the culinary building for our existing culinary classes?
Part of this equipment would be things like mixing bowls, the basically the everyday supplies, and it will be serving more than 15 students at a time.
Well, I know just $130,000 at a culinary institute. Seems like, I would assume we'd have a lot of that.
A lot of
the
it would be
equipment on
donated.
hand when we take possession. of the lease.
That's correct. Well, Mel, you know for a lot more of what equipment we're committing to.
So we're talking about pastry and baking.
Do you want me to just go to the?
Yeah,
Either
go
way.
I'll steal judgment. So we do have much of the equipment already for culinary, but we're building a new facility. We're going to have lots of new equipment, and this is a new program for pastry and baking. So the equipment is different for pastry and baking equipment. We do expect much of that to be donated, but I have to be, I can't just assume all that equipment's going to be donated. So when we submit this to the Technical Education Authority in the state, I have to have some funding in there.
And lots of times with these things that go to the state, they want a general idea of how those costs are going to be covered. They aren't so worried about the individual costs. And so it's pretty typical that under funding sources, you generalize this and say donations. Carl Perkins, we know we'll be able to apply for Carl Perkins. There's funding already in the culinary department budget line to cover some of those expenses. But KBOR doesn't necessarily require right now, well, they never require a detailed list
Right.
of where all of that funding is going to come from. So this is kind of template for what goes to TEA and KBOR.
I just would feel more comfortable. I'd actually like to make a substitute motion to just add verbiage that the equipment cost is pending board approval.
So and Mel can step in too. I think that what KBOR requires when we submit this is that the minutes of the meeting reflect that the board has approved this program and the submission. So I'm worried if you input that wording saying pending board approval, we wouldn't even be able to submit this into TEA and KBOR. So my suggestion might be that we understand your concern, and as we go along, we can give you a more complete breakdown of that equipment and cost. But if we want to submit this to TEA and KBOR at this point in time, the minutes actually have to reflect that the board approves our submission of this to TEA. So that would be my suggestion going forward, but we can get more detail for you going forward.
Yeah, I don't know if this speaks to your question, but everything that will be purchased will be subject to our purchase policies. And that policy indicates anything over 35,000 would come to the board. Anything more than that could be approved by the president. That's our standard purchasing process policy.
My only concern is I was looking at the number of students versus revenue generated. Cost of a teacher, that $130,000 equipment just seems quite expensive upfront if we have a new culinary institute to an additional $130,000 equipment.
And this is just starting student numbers. It's just the last year. And
And it
the other
says-
thing that, is part of this, the faculty position's already within the budget. That's Alexis Michael's position that hasn't been filled yet. And so it's been a budgeted item, obviously, for a number of years. And so that position's already there and it's already part of the budget. And we've got adjunct faculty teaching a lot of those classes now, so. Guess that's-
Mel, do we have to identify the dollar amount of the equipment, even if it's equipment that we would already have for another program? Would we still identify what the dollar amount of it? And what I'm wondering is, and maybe Champagne can jump in on this too. I'm assuming that the Culinary Institute is going to have fixtures, ovens, things like that are going to be there. Is that part of what this cost is? And those are already going to be part of the building that we're leasing.
Well, part of it could be, but here again, if I don't put the numbers in and let's say Bob Smith decides he's going to back out of his equipment donation, well, then this isn't going to be a true representation of what we would actually spend. So I'm just trying to be cautious, if you will, and making sure we have everything covered. And it's just a forecast,
A rough
a
estimate.
rough estimate.
Yeah,
So
I'm
yeah.
not trying to be critical of that at all. I'm just trying to understand what additional, and I think this goes to Shelby's point, what additional cost might the college have that's separate from what's already going to be in the building that we're leasing? And it sounds like some of this 130 is going to be in the building that we're leasing. So there's no possibility that the college is going to be asked to pay for now, we don't know exactly what that breakdown is.
Correct.
But is that an accurate statement?
Yes, yes, yep.
Yeah, because some of those pieces of equipment we know will be donated.
Yeah.
And Shelby's on record as expressing his concern.
Right, I just can't personally vote to approve this with 130,000, but that's fine with them all.
But it says proposed academic program. So I would say that these would all be estimates.
No, I understand it's an estimate, it's just, I guess personally, I don't see if we're leasing a Culinary Institute, a brand new out of the box, fabulous facility, why we would need to bring an additional 130,000 worth of equipment in there.
Well, and I think we have to trust that Mel and his team have done their job of putting together a program that the Board of Regents is going to hopefully approve. And that's what this is doing, is sending it to KBOR for approval. And so forth. So
Any
other discussion, questions?
I did not know that until I went to the groundbreaking. I had no idea. And I know we talked several times about surprising the board with new programs that you've been working on for months. And I really agreed that pastry is a very important part of the culinary, but I hate it when you come on a Thursday, which is when I usually get my packet, and then you want to vote on a Tuesday. I totally support this program. I understand that we need culinary, and I really believe in the pastry side, and I'm hoping that who I heard would be heading it up will still be heading it up, because I did hear that when I also went to the groundbreaking.
The pastry program.
I'm not gonna leave. I'm just saying, I hope it's the same person.
Yeah,
It's right
we
here.
Haven't filled that
Let's not
position.
show that.
If that's an unfilled.
That's a
position.
personnel.
But-
Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say anything about that, but again, Thursday to Tuesday and so many questions, and I understand what Shelby's saying. I guess my only contribution would be to say, if you don't use but 70,000, you just automatically go out and spend the rest of it, because that's what I see happening. Now,
It's just a rough estimate to fill in a blank.
I get that. I get that. Now, the other side of the coin is, I would give this university or this college anything they asked for or they could justify as far as the workforce. The flip side of that is continued justification. If we come in the first year, we only have 3 students. The second year, we only have 7 students. somebody has got to be held responsible to make sure that we have an adequate number of students to continue to justify this program. And I want to know upfront before I vote, who's that going to be? Who's that going to be? Because, hold on, there are programs out there and there are actual teachers and instructors that tell me at this college that say, hey, you know what, I pay for my own program. I make sure I have X number of students and blah, blah, blah. I'd like to make sure that happens with all the programs. While I understand that there's some period of time where we need to test the waters and develop a program, I guess I want a rate of return. Where's that? Where's my rate of return as a business person? Where is that? You know what the rate of return is.
Well, I mean, I would say that we do have a pretty robust program review process here at the college that is college-wide. It's not just something that we do in a vacuum. I believe those are shared with the board. I haven't been here long enough to know, but the provide reports, do they come to the board?
We've done an overview of the.
Yeah, so, so we review our programs every 2 years to look at program viability, not only the cost, but the enrollment and of course, how does it still align with the workforce?
Yeah, we're just investing a lot of money and a lot of other people's money in these programs. And so I guess I'm just wanting some kind of reassurance that.
There is a description there on page 15 of the improved model and the provide model that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I'll say sitting right now, looking at our data, I mean, the program doesn't lose money, so.
And it's
Well,
growing.
I
It's
guess I'm
growing.
worried, and I want it to continue to grow, obviously.
So do
I
we,
think
and
that it can.
that's why we feel this is a viable program. We want to invest our time and energy and the resources into building. And if we didn't think that, then we wouldn't bring that to the board.
I think, any other questions or comments for,
Only quick question is this one, it said it was a 2-year review process, and then in the masonry, the next one I think was same as construction, it's a 3-year. I didn't know why the difference between 2 and 3 years.
The 3-year process, but we have now ramped it up to every 2-year process.
So I think in the masonry one next, it says 3.
Yeah, it may well, but that was a recent change.
call the roll?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Luckenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
Yes, and I'm still just concerned about that equipment cost.
We'll note that.
The motion passes. And we will move on to the approval of the masonry and cement degree and certification program. I would entertain a motion to approve that as well.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve or to ratify the masonry and cement associated applied science degree and certification programs to the Board of Regents. Any questions, comments as it relates to that program?
Mine's just the same as before. There's on page 55, $50,801 worth of equipment. I don't think that should be that high for the masonry. So that's the same concern I have. Have a wheelbarrow and bag of concrete and shovel. So it seems excessive to spend $50,000. But that's part of that program. But besides that, that's.
And I can provide you with a detailed equipment list. Because it is a masonry and concrete or cement program, it's the equipment cost is broader. So we're not talking about just laying brick. So that's why the cost is a little higher on that.
These kids aren't going out and building a structure somewhere.
Yes, they will be, actually.
Are we going to?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
But it also
that's,
shows the second and third year 0,
Right, but
For-
there was like 10 grand of just supplies and stuff, yeah.
which,
yeah, well, they will be building walls. That's part of the program.
To me, I'm in the industry, 50 grand to do that's a little excessive.
Other questions or concerns?
Again, this is just another program that I didn't know anything about until a few days ago. So although I do like the masonry sound of it, I'm not sure that I'm not sure about the supplies either. Not sure about the degree program either. Would have liked a few more days to consider that.
We've talked, I realized that you
No.
didn't have the packet. Well, let me finish, please. I realized you didn't have the packet in front of you until the full packet that goes to 4 readings. But we've talked about the masonry thing as part of the work that the El Dorado Correctional Facility wanted us to do. And as part of that grant, we've talked about that since summer, I believe, when we first started talking about that Department of Corrections grant. So you didn't see the detail things in front of you necessarily, but the masonry discussion is not brand new.
Masonry is new to me, but anyway, that's beside the point. I do support it. I think there needs to be more trades. I'm not sure about the degree program, but if that's the direction the college wants to do, and to support it, then. Again,
Both of
I
these
just
are
wanna
at the
make sure
request
that-
of industry professionals as well.
I just want to make sure that we're going down the right path. I want to make sure that we're really moving towards the future for these kids that are more technically inclined and less academic inclined. I'm not a two-year degree is the right way to go, but I'm going to, go ahead and support it because I do think masonry does need some.
Well, there's a certificate.
There's a
option as
certificate
well.
option as well.
Right. Yes, I think.
They don't have to do a 2-year degree.
Right.
I just had one thing to mention before. I was talking with Tyler over to my daughter takes pottery. ceramics. They went to Wichita State. I mentioned once before, they had the wood fired kiln over there.
Uh-huh.
And it is something where we can maybe have some synergy and have the welding kits and the masonry kits build a wood fired kiln on site somewhere around here. That would be beneficial for the pottery program. Wood fire. Not asking for it to be done, but think about it in the future as a project we could do hands-on.
Interesting masonry project.
We roll the frame and build giant firehouse.
We will go ahead and call the roll if nobody has any other questions related to the masonry program.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes,
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
the motion to approve the masonry and cement degree and certification program passes. And we'll move on to the approval of the video and scoring technology in the gym upgrade, and would entertain a motion to approve that as
So
presented.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to, yes, it is, to approve the video and scoring technology in the gym. Any questions or comments as it relates to that?
Just the junior.
That's the only, that's the last of the video boards. Those are the last of the video boards that we haven't upgraded. So we've got upgraded equipment, of course, at the stadium. The gym here at the power plant has not been upgraded. So we can't communicate back to our production rooms, nor can we simulcast. We've talked in the past about it being overflow for graduation, opportunities to simulcast things that are going on at the stadium or back and forth. The potential for simulcasting fine arts programs for overflow as well. Which
So
we've
it's
talked
already
in the
at the
past.
stadium, but not here at the gym.
Correct. Yeah, it's all on the big board at the gym has that technology on it.
That's
Perfect. Thank you. Yours getting, it's close to being over, so we'll see.
Any other questions for
Only a
Bill?
few more days.
A few more days. Then he gets a whole new blank slate. Start over.
Hold my beer.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes,
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
Yes.
motion passes, and we will move on to the approval of the concurrent enrollment partnership. Would entertain a motion to approve that as presented.
So moved. Oh, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the concurrent enrollment partnerships. Any questions or concerns there? If not, we will go ahead and call the roll.
Trustee Good,
I have a question.
Okay,
Can I go back?
you sure
There's
can.
8 school districts. Ooh, there's only 7.
so
And Butler.
we have, this is spring semester, so we won't necessarily do, this is only if schools changed. So we bring these to you in the fall, and usually we list out what classes are being taught in those high schools for both semesters. And this would just reflect those that maybe made a late decision to add a class second
Got
semester.
it. Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
Yes. The motion passes, and so we move on to Rita Sullivan's retirement.
Alex, he was actually hired me about 30 years ago. He's the epitome of responsibility and steadiness. She takes pride in working with the academic administrators and obviously student focused. Probably you get a football game, somebody's a bookstore is always represent that football game. So real effort to be good public relations venue as well as to the best of the students and the employees of the college.
And I move that we accept Rita Sullivan's retirement.
I second it.
Moved and seconded to accept Rita's retirement.
Trustee Good,
Roll.
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes,
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell, trustee Smith.
Yes.
the motion passes. I would entertain
I
a
move
motion.
we approve the consent agenda. What notes do you want made? We're just going to take care of it.
Behind the scenes. It was just, I think last month, Dr. Cole, you said with the retiring members of the board, you would recognize this month at their final meeting.
Well, January is actually when I'm going to do it under recognitions,
Okay.
but
Are they gonna be there as well, or?
they better be.
Sounds like
Mr. Howell is not.
He's not?
No.
Oh.
Well, I think
man.
you should do it right now.
Well, I don't have my
We need
whole,
to-
I don't.
anyway, I have made a motion to approve the consent agenda, and I'd like a second, Mary Martha.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Thank you. I got a second. Heather, you may call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes,
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Miss me, I
trustee
know.
Smith.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to recognize you in abstention then. I don't have my whole list of accomplishments put together. Okay, we'll
Okay.
work hard on.
We'll
that.
hope that you'll be here.
supplemental information.
Oh, let me get my pages turned here. KPIs, start the beginning of the supplemental information. And there's then, you're starting to see some reports on the key performance indicators for different priorities for the strategic plan that follow along. Hopefully you'll read through those and get some hint on some of those priorities and the progress being made on those. Statement of revenues and expenditures. I guess we didn't talk about that during finance committee because we were talking about the audit, but
Right.
you can review that. Couple of nice letters that are included as well. The celebration of freedom, thank you. And then thank you from the El Dorado Main Street for our work with the downtown trick or treat. That was kind of fun to see the little kids' pictures and stuff. And then just from a board calendar perspective, obviously no work session in December because we'll be right in the middle of the holidays. And we're scheduling board orientation for the 4th of January. I'll bring in the new board members and have them sit down and visit with VPs. We'll schedule a second day sometime later in January or February to do a tour of the campuses and things like that. But regular January board meeting and January work session are on the schedule. So, and it doesn't take too long when we get back early in the semester for basketball games to start. And you'll see that the theater and music productions begin as well before too long. We're only back just a short period of time and those start to begin February and March. So anyway, hope you can take advantage of some of those. Oh, Esau?
On the KPI and finding
Oh, yeah.
I'm standing with you, right?
You look very nice, Esam.
I was going to go with
Thank you, Mrs. Chair. I
dapper.
appreciate
Very
that.
dapper.
Dapper.
Thank you.
Mhm.
On the KPIs, there is an on the KPIs, there is an update, as you will see.
Oh, highlighted, sorry.
The GPA, transfer GPA has gone up. The transfer hours have remained steady. Just want to point this out that that's from fall of 2020. And that happened in the middle of a major pandemic. So that tells you.
Sorry to sound
You could cut him down a little more gently.
Thank you.
Time's up.
I know. I'll be on shortly. But it's a good piece of news. I wanted to share with you all because it happens because of the support that you provide, our student services folks provide. But also because I'll also mention something about business perspective here because it is important. When I did the calculation about there are 582 students who transferred from us to the four-year sector. Each of them on the average took 50 hours with them, which they completed here. The average difference between us and the average university is about $142 a credit hour. You add that all up, the savings are in the seven figures.
Wow.
That's what we all are doing. And I think you all deserve a round of applause for it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we adjourn for the evening,
I'd like to know how many motions he made.
as many as possible. Mary Martha?
Yes.
Trustee Law.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Luckenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow.
Yes.
Trustee Howell. Trustee Smith.
We are adjourned.
I'll do it.
Dr. Kroll, there is.
I was gonna.
Heather, are you keeping this?
Sorry, I got away from me.
Okay. Sign in there. I ran out of these, so.